Hello, welcome. You have the three dynamic trio here. I'm Sherri Danzig. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a platinum consultant.
And I'm Maggie McKee from Canada, and I'm a diamond consultant.
And I'm Kimball Sargent. I'm from Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, and I'm a gold consultant.
Awesome. So we are here to speak to you, and this is going to be very conversational. And our mantra for this this lesson, this module is contacting and inviting. And the thing we want you to take away from it most of all is that it's simple and it has to be fun. Because if it's not fun, you're not going to do it, right? So what we want to do is make sure that you get some really solid takeaways from what we want to teach you. And this is a big topic, so we're going to keep it simple, right? So there's 3 steps that we want to really emphasize. The first is about making a list, and that'll help you to be organized and stay focused. The second one is about getting a contact buddy, so that you've got someone you can go through this experience with and bounce ideas and kind of hold each other, keeping yourselves in action. And then the third is all the preparation to know if you're contacting a bunch of people, what are you inviting them to? So we're going to do a deeper dive on that. So Kimball, take it away, number 1.
Well, I love to have fun. My life is all about experiencing joy and sharing joy. And I think you do that by having friends. And that's what you start off with, contacting and inviting. The first thing you want to do is make a list of friends. And that's people that you would like to share this amazing products and the business with. Now, a lot of people get really uptight about that. Like, I don't know that many people. What do I do with this? Well, I really like for people to come up with a 200 name list. And the reason for that is that you don't run out of people. If you've got a list of 5 people and you talk to those 5 and maybe it's not a good time for them, then you feel like, there's nothing else to do. But we all know so many people and we don't think about it. They don't have to be people you know well. And, there's some really good things that come out of everything. And I think this recent stay at home, safer at home, has had me looking at my Facebook. On Facebook, I have over 2,000 friends. Wow, that's a lot of people. And we're always liking each other's stuff and sharing and all. And this gives you an opportunity to add them to your list. Now, if you take your real life friends and your Facebook friends, you definitely got 200 people. So you make the list and then you think about the people, and you're gonna think about who is entrepreneurial, who's a people person, who's a leader. I mean, you want to kind of qualify and see if they are a person. Although I'm going to tell you, calling up and contacting someone and seeing what they're up to, which is what the list is about, it keeps you organized, is what this business is all about. Personally, I use FORM, which is family, occupation, recreation. I want to see what they're doing. I want to know about them. And then I like to connect people. Don't ever think that when you make this list that you're trying to do something to someone or to get them to do something. You just want to contact with them, check up with them, find out what's going on with them. And then if they've got something, maybe they've got an issue that you can help them with, maybe through our business, maybe not, but it's all about people. So keep the focus on the list and the fun. The list is very important because it's what's going to keep you organized.
That sounds awesome. So the second one is about getting a buddy. And, anything that we do with a buddy, it's more fun, right? And I think this is contacting, inviting is truly the lifeblood of your business. So if you're not doing it, your business isn't growing. So what better way than to find someone? It could be someone that has the same amount of experience as you in the business. It could be someone who's got more or less, it doesn't matter, but someone that you jive with that is also I think it's important that you're both kind of at the same stage in your business and that you're wanting to launch or relaunch. And so what we're suggesting that you do here is find someone, set some goals. We think it's really important that at the very minimum that you have a goal of adding 1 new person to your list. If you're really going for a goal, though, I think you could, really step that up, and maybe it's 3 to 5 people that you add to your list. And so you start with that as a goal that you share your goals with that person. And then I think it's really great when you make contact, touch in once a day. It doesn't have to be for more than a moment. It doesn't have to even be a conversation. It could be that you text and say, I got my 3 or I got my 5. And then it could, it's about, maybe it's practicing what you're going to say. But I think it's really good to keep, that energy going. Maybe you do a little healthy competition. I'm challenging you to get one more person tomorrow. Have fun with it. And I think that when you have somebody else that you say, I'm committing today to do, whatever it is, and tomorrow I'm going to do another goal. So maybe in the morning you could do a check-in where you say, I'm going to call my 3 people today and invite them, or I'm going to, somehow add new people to my list. And at the end of the day, you could send a text back and say, this is what I did, and this is what I'm doing tomorrow. So that a lot of people don't like the word accountability. If that word doesn't work for you, let it go. Make it a challenge, make it something that you can groove with, but find somebody that you can do this with, and it makes it so much better.
A lot more fun for sure.
A lot more fun.
One of the things that has been really important to me in this whole career I've had for the last 25 years with NECAN is knowing when I contact somebody what I want to say, and we're going to attach to the resources a document that Michael DiMuccio put together called Contacting and Inviting. And it goes back to what you were saying, Kimball, about first of all, you make a list. And once you do a little evaluation of that list, you'll know who to contact first, because ideally you want to build a team so that you've got more power as a team. People are always going to buy these products and love these products, and you'll have customers. That's not something you need to worry about. However, I think it's really, really wise to, first of all, just use a scoring sheet. What we do is on a scale of 1 to 10, you're evaluating people, and each category is worth, the first 3 categories are worth 3 points each, and then the last one is 1. So the first thing is, are they entrepreneurial? And if you put yourself as a 2 out of 3, it's easy to evaluate, is that person as entrepreneurial as I am, more or less? That gives you a number. The second one is resources. Do they have the resources to, to get going? Some time and some money, and the interest to do this. So again, you do that same scale of 3. If you're a 2, are they more resourceful, less resourceful? The third one is really important. It's influence. Is this the kind of person that people will want to listen to, or do they just have no credibility? So you can do that score. And I love the last one. It's the L for location. If they live within 50 miles, 80 kilometers if you're in Canada, I think it's the same distance. Isn't that funny? Yeah, anyway, then you get an extra point, because it's a lot easier to work with people locally to begin with. So once you've evaluated your list of 200, thank you, Kimball, you can then look at the ones that are the 7s, 8s, and 9s. Doesn't it make sense to talk to those people first? Because they're the people who are entrepreneurial, have the resources, have the influence, and they're close by. So that is a way to start your who do I talk to first. And I love the idea of having a swim buddy or an accountability buddy to do this with. And the thing to remember, there's a framework for this whole contacting and inviting. There's got to be a purpose. We have to know what we're inviting people to, but that's a big picture. So I'm going to hold up a thing that shows you we have 3 conversations. I don't know if that shows the right way up or the wrong way around. That's the same. Okay, so if you start with, on this list, we've talked about 100 people or 80 some people, and they don't know anything about NECAN. So the first thing that you do is have a conversation called the why conversation. Why would they even be interested in NECAN? And we have the 5 pillars of wellness to focus on in a conversation. Now, I usually do this in a coffee shop because in Canada here in British Columbia, we're now meeting in coffee shops again. But if it's on the phone, that's fine. Or if it's on a Zoom, that's fine, whatever means you use. So in that first conversation, you can find out a lot. It's like your form, Kimball, basically the same idea, looking at areas of their life that they may want to have a better result in without judging that they don't have perfect scores in all 5 areas. And so in that conversation, you'll be able to catch their interest. That's the first thing. And you'll be able to know what to focus on, because otherwise it can be, an hour long talking about the weather. And that's not the purpose. We want to focus when we talk to people. So that first conversation takes people from knowing nothing, being uninterested really because they know nothing, to being an interested contact. And we know that in life, not just in this business, there's a rule of thirds that operates. Let's say you're going to move, Sherri, and you call 12 of your best friends who are local to help you move. Odds are that all 12 of them are not going to be available. It will turn out that probably a third will say, no, I can't. A third will say, well, maybe. And a third will say, yeah. So you've got your 4 people that are gung-ho to come to your place at X time and help you move. So it's the same with this business. It's a sorting business, not to make it anything other than just where do we spend our time? So once people have gone through that first conversation, the second conversation that you can have, and I suggest that you do this as your second meeting, is the how conversation. So let's say they want to improve their finances because we're looking for business partners, influencers. How do we do that? We have to give them an overview of the technologies and the process that we go through, the company and so on. And most of that, because I know a lot of people are not able to get together, everything that's on here you can do virtually as well. We have so many resources that you can refer people to. I just talked to a new contact the other day, 28-year-old gal. She's a perfect fit in my mind, but she has to figure that out for herself. So first thing I did was I introduced her, after I found she was interested, I introduced her to my mentor, Michael DiMuccio. They had like probably a 30-minute conversation. It was all so exciting because everything was just clicking. And so then following that, I sent her several resources, one being the Self-Care Hub, which we talked about earlier together before we started this call. It's a brilliant place for people to learn about the technologies, especially since most people can't see them, in reality right now. And the second one I sent her was a recording of Ben Woodward doing the Better Way conversation. So that's an overview conversation. And because in the conversation, she's a fan of Bob Proctor, I sent her the Bob Proctor YouTube talking about why Niken is a good business, right? So, it emerges. I didn't know any of that when I started the conversation. But she's now at the point, when I talk to her again, she'll be at the point for the what conversation. The what do we do? What's the business? What's the business model? How would she, move towards her goal, whatever that is? So again, it's not a 1, 2, 3 all in the same, although you can. I mean, let's say you're on vacation and you meet somebody and you meet them, for an hour and you get to know each other. You could carry on through the whole thing right there. However, usually it's at least 3 conversations, if not more, because research shows that it takes, 7 to 12 touch points before people, especially something new like Niken, before they're able to make a decision comfortably.
Right.
So that's a way of sorting that list and talking to the key people first. And we're going to include this document that'll show you there's a different conversation that you could have with people who are likely to be influencers on your team, who are likely to be business partners. And that's focusing more on how they can help you. You're looking for support. It's a new business. The other people who might have scores from, 1 to 6 or whatever, that becomes more, how can you help them? They've got a sore knee, whatever. So those are different conversations, just to plant a seed there.
Great point. So just to summarize what we've covered so far, is the first thing, whether you've been in the business for 10 minutes, 10 months, or even 10 years, today's a new day, right? So it's the day you're starting, you've got a new focus, a new intention, some new goal set. And so the first thing you want to start is to make a list. We always do that. We start a project, we got to make a list. What are all the things we need to do? But in this case, your resource are people. So go back and think about, where have you been active on social media? It could be your Facebook group. It could be Instagram. It could be LinkedIn. It could be any of the social media platforms. Certainly could be some new people in your life. We're going to talk in just a minute about creating some new people. But the list helps you to stay focused. It helps you to then spend the time that Maggie was talking about, really qualify people. Where are you going to prioritize your time? And with that list, I think also to create then having the second thing is then to find a buddy, and then create some goals with that buddy and have an agreement that you're going to hold each other to your agreement. Hold yourself, most important, and have fun with someone else that you can play around and compete and challenge each other. And then the third is then to really prepare what are those resources that you're going to lean on. And I think it's really good to go through the NECAN Connect list. And there's so many different opportunities we have, both live, calls or Zooms, and then a whole library of recorded ones. As Maggie said, there's Self-Care Hub. I still use the Royal Alliance. We have no shortage of resources. And what I'll do is I'll go back occasionally and just look at some, or, go get on these calls yourself so that you have the personality in mind to then match what are you going to send? What are you going to invite someone to learn more about, what resources are best for that person. So there's no wrong. I don't think there's a wrong direction in that. I think it's what you feel like is which ones you like. So those are the three key things. Remember, keep it simple and keep it fun. Now, we want to go into a little bit about networking, because I think that's a great way of how you connect people, right? And I think we're doing networking, as Maggie said, she's, able to go back and face-to-face. I've always done a lot of face-to-face. I mean, lately, right now, we're doing everything virtually. And I think it's one of the aspects that's really been helpful being with this crazy pandemic time, is that if you're in a networking group, you wouldn't drive 3 states over on a Tuesday morning, right, to be on a group. But perhaps you have some groups that are meeting virtually and you could connect with people. This is a global business. So what if you could connect with someone across the country, or even in a different country? Because everybody is connecting virtually, here's an opportunity to do so, to grow your business that way. But I'd love to hear what the two of you think about networking. What are some tips about how you can grow your list through networking?
I think one of the most important things in my experience is don't jump on that person. Like, don't ask, don't shove your business card in their face. Don't say, hey, I got this great business. I don't talk about my business at all in that first contact. I like to create a relationship. I use the analogy when I'm talking with my team about, if you're dating and you're on your first date, you don't want, in our case, the guy, to invite you into the back seat on the first date. That's not cool. Well, depends, but it's not really cool. So the same thing with networking and contacting, inviting. It's about starting from a point of, the form. I love that. How's your family? What do you do, etc. And taking that out of the networking group. So either online or to a coffee shop or whatever works, to continue the conversation. So the only purpose of that first contact, in my opinion, is to check for interest and check for connection.
Well, I'm a big connector. I mean, if you've ever read Wayne Dyer's book, The Power of Intention, the very last chapter is about connectors, and that's what I'm all about. I think that you meet people and you get feelings about them, and if they seem like they'd be somebody you'd like to get to know more, then set up a meeting. Now, we talked about the kilometers or the miles. Well, that's one of the amazing things that this time has brought us, is that everybody's on Zoom. And so it doesn't matter if they're 1,000 miles or they're 10 minutes away, you could do face-to-face with them. And so the goal, I think, is just to figure out is what can I add value with that person? Everybody I meet, what can I give them something when we leave? It may be something that I have. But again, it's just like Maggie said, it's just all about creating the relationship and creating a friend. And you know what? When you offer something of value to someone else, it always comes back to you. What we put out into the universe comes back to us. So just when you're thinking about networking, just who can I meet today and who can I spread some joy with, and just see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah, I really think it is. You started out saying this about Kimball, about having friends. And, when you can find a way that you connect, that you have something, a common interest, then the conversation flows. It's simple. And I think the more one of the best qualities of being a good friend is being a good listener. And so this certainly is so important, you know, and any business skill is about listening. When you listen, then, you know, you don't jump on when they say that, you know, they've been struggling with, or maybe they have a child at home that doesn't sleep. I know the inclination is to want to jump on that right away. Maybe you don't even bring anything up in that conversation, but come back to it and ask them, you know, how is so-and-so sleeping, and let them tell you more about it. And then we can offer, because we've listened, we can offer a solution, and that can get things going. That can be the conversation going. Or it could be someone talking about the fact that they're stressed out because they lost their job during the situation or some other situation. Again, it gives you something to come back and offer and invite, and you know, ask questions to bring them along. So I think the more we can, to me, that would be, if I was to get a buddy today in doing this, and maybe I will, maybe this is the challenge, it would be for me, not only how many people am I contacting, but how many times did I start with asking a great question? Because I don't care how long you've been in this business, it's so easy to forget that basic skill of asking questions and listening and finding out what is someone's why. What are they looking for in their life? But boy, it sure makes the whole process go so much better when you get them to tell you organically what it is they're looking for.
Yeah, and that builds trust, which is the foundation of any relationship, right? So if you're not pushing them and, you know, coming across as a salesy person, they're more apt to open up, and then that can start to build the trust. And when you're listening, like you said, Sherri, you can catalog in your mind, okay, I'm going to come back to that later, and go deeper with that one point. Let's say the child is not sleeping. That continues to build the trust, because people do business with people they know, people they like, and people they trust.
Mm-hmm,
You can build those three pillars there.
Mm-hmm. I want to add a simple tip that is, we've kind of talked around with using Facebook. We have so many friends, and I know I have friends of friends and friends of their friends, and on and on and on, right? So what if you responded to everyone's birthday? Because, I mean, if you have a lot of friends in Facebook, there's probably at least 5 people, if not 25 people, having a birthday on any given day. So what if you sent a message that wished them a happy birthday, and maybe asked a question like, what's your favorite self-care that you're going to give to yourself today to honor yourself? Or what are you doing? And so, you know, bring up self-care, because that's the real heart of what we are teaching. That's what we're empowering people to do, right? And then sit back and see who responds to that. And that could start a conversation that could create not just a friend on Facebook, but somebody you really get to know. And you never know where that's going to go.
Brilliant suggestion, Sherri. I really like that.
Yeah, pay
And,
attention.
if there's somebody that's been liking your stuff, you know, just reach out to them and say, hi, you know, I see you out here a lot. We're friends, but I don't know you. Would you like to have a virtual coffee, tea, or water? And then set up a Zoom, and then it's just fun. You've got to make it fun. The only goal, I think, in that first meeting and taking someone off the list is just to get to know them better. That's always fun. Every individual is a novel.
Yeah,
absolutely. 2 other quick points that we want to make. One is we would be remiss if we didn't talk about follow-up. Mm-hmm. Follow-up is key. I've heard, you know, fortune is in follow-up. I'm sure there's other mantras out there about follow-up. But Maggie said, you know, it takes at least 7 to 12 times. I mean, every once in a while, you talk to someone and they've been looking for exactly what you have to offer. And right then and there, you make a sale, or you get someone that's ready to go, to sign up and join your team. But that doesn't happen very often, right? So I think that's one of the things that we tend to get scared about. You know, we're afraid to hear someone say no. What are some tips about how you continue to follow up so that you don't give up too quickly?
I think it's really important at the end of any conversation, virtual or in person, that you know what the next invite is going to be. So, you know, if you're at the networking meeting and you say, you know, I really enjoyed talking to you. I'd like to get to know you better. Let's have coffee or whatever. What works for you, and set that up right on the spot. And then at the end of the coffee, I often say, you know, the next logical step for you, if you're interested in, and I always say this may not be for you. People like to be let off the hook. would be to, and here in Vancouver, I'll say, come to my wellness home so you understand what that even means. And at the end of the wellness home thing, I'll say, what questions do you have? And I'd like to invite you to talk. I always use the 3 ways all the way through. I'd like to introduce you to somebody that I think you'd really connect with, and so on and so forth. So each of those 7 to 12 contacts, you're orchestrating what the next one is so that you both are on the same page in terms of, oh, we're not done yet.
Yeah, it's really important, and have a way that you monitor that. I have a card that, well, actually, it's a sheet of paper, and I monitor everything that I do, like from the first contact, and then I'm counting, because you want to know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, then 7 to 12, that's where the magic starts. And you're not bugging a person. It's just a matter of those contacts are the way that we build the richness of a relationship. So if you're not writing it down, your own anxiety may overrun what you're really doing. And you'll see that you're offering value. And then the magic is in the follow-up.
Absolutely. I don't know about you guys, but I have followed up with people over a year before they were ready to make a decision.
Even more.
Yeah. I mean, it's
accountant 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's when they're ready, it's their timing. And I think as long as you are, if you're talking to lots of people, then you don't have to, you're not like, trying to hatch an egg with just a few chickens, right? So you can keep, you know that they're not ready. So you move on, but you come back. And as long as you're friendly and you're not putting any pressure and they don't feel it from you, they're not going to take it that way. So it's like, hey, just checking in. If the time's right, great. If it's not, I can check back with you. Keep it light and easy. And, I mean, if people say I'm not interested, and I've even said, look, I don't want to bother you. If this feels like bother, tell me. And people say, no, I appreciate you checking in. It's just not the right time. That's cool. Keep it moving.
And that's another reason for having that big list, right? Because like you said, Kimball, if you only have 5 names and they all aren't ready, you go, oh, now what? Whereas
Right.
if you've got an ongoing supply, like any business needs. I mean, a retail business with a storefront needs constant new people coming in. So
Right.
we need the same thing.
The last point that we just want to make sure that we remind you of is about using the power of an ABC. So it's not about you doing it all by yourself. We talked about having a buddy. That could be your A person. You could trade off. You could have, 10 different people that you rely on that are your expert. It could be a recording. You could get someone on a presentation, The Better Way, that happens a couple of times a week in some weeks. That could be your A. That's your expert. So don't try to do it alone.
I think one of the best points, once a month we have the Zoom in, the Power A, if you like. That's a really powerful place for people who've already got some information to come and hear from some really interesting experts, to hear questions and testimonials and so on. Because I call it a lock-in event, because by then people are more likely to be ready to say, "What? Yes, I want to do this or that." So that's once a month on a Saturday morning at 9:30 our time, so 12:30 your time, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, these are all great tools. This is a way to keep it simple and fun, not by yourself. Don't try to do it by yourself. It's truly the lifeblood of your business. So go after it.
And have fun.